thank you so much for taking some time for me and coming out here and doing this. You're one of the legends here. And my first question for you is kind of general. What does being a Hall of Famer mean to you?
Wow, what a wonderful question. What does being a Hall of Famer mean to me? Well, I don't know if, Jeff, I can really sum it up in one answer for you because it's such a pregnant moment for me. I think it epitomizes everything I've ever wanted from a young boy when I was the age of 6, wanting to go and play Popwana and eventually high school and to find a wonderful college to develop my passions. I think for me, Hall of Fame would mean that my legacy will be remembered for something that I believed in that will live well beyond my years. Perhaps maybe my kids or maybe your kids will find strength and find inspiration and dedication and find something that they saw in my efforts that they can draw strength from. And I think if they are able to see a little bit of themselves through my example on and off the football field, I think that will help to make my legacy more complete, first as a human being, then second as an athlete.
Take me back to when you first got here. How did you come to UCF?
Wow. That's interesting. My journey to UCF was it's a little different than most because I was headed to the University of Georgia. To be honest with you, I wanted to play at a Division I school. I wanted to play in the midst of thousands in the stadium and be seen on ABC and NBC. And I wanted to follow in the footsteps of the great Herschel Walker. And so during the time that I graduated, thank God Herschel had just decided to enter into the draft, because if I'd have went to Georgia with him, I probably would have never got playing time. And so my folks called Vince Dooley, and Vince Dooley wanted me to come to the University of Georgia. And at the last minute, I get a call from a guy by the name of Jeremiah Davis. At that time, he was a scout here at UCF. And he said, "Hey, Elgin, we have one scholarship left at the University of Central Florida." I said, "What?" I'd never heard of the school before. And I scratched my head. I said, "Well, how many people do you guys play in front of?" And he said, "We're just a small program, and right now it's going to be a little bit, but by the end of your senior year, it'll probably be a lot." And so I was a little bit torn. And he gave a great sales job. He said, "Well, Central Florida's a little closer than Georgia." And what got me was that my first year I had the possibility of playing instead of waiting 2 or 3 years. And so I thought about it, my family, we prayed about it, and my dad said these words to me, Jeff. He said, "Son, I would rather be a big fish in a little pond than to be a little fish in a big pond." And when he told me that, the light came on, and I was headed to the University of Central Florida to play under the legendary Lou Saban. That's how I got here.
Yeah. God, Lou Saban, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
We always see those NFL fans of him screaming at people in Denver.
Yeah.
Tell me the story of your career at UCF. Give me a cliff notes of the 4 years that you spent here.
Well, it was filled with highs and lows, My first year, I didn't know what to expect. I was 17 years old. My first year away from home, and all I had was hopes and the prayers of others. And that's what I left from Jacksonville with here to Orlando, just the hopes and the prayers that, first of all, I could finish 4 years of quality education and do some things I love playing on the football field. My first year was surprising me. I mean, I did some wonderful things. My first game against Georgia Southern, I think it was 152 yards or something, 138 yards, something to that effect. But I broke the school record in the first game. And I remember scoring a 52-yard touchdown, which was like the highlight of my career now and back then. And so I remember that. Had a chance to meet some wonderful, wonderful people that I will call long-term friends forever. I've had a chance to meet their children. I've had a chance to meet wonderful coaches, wonderful student athletes, and UCF has been a vehicle that has allowed me to see some things I never would have had the opportunity of seeing. And so I'm very grateful for this opportunity to have been chosen as a Hall of Famer and getting the scholarship to come to Central Florida.
Tell me about the experience of, I mean, you were our captain.
Yes.
You were leading rusher every year. You were the all-time leading rusher when you left.
That is true.
You left a legacy of accomplishments. When you think back on it now, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, does it amaze you? Is it like, wow, it's just amazing that it just kind of ended up like that?
Well, you know, it just goes to show you how powerful faith is. It goes to show you that when you are persistent and you have a goal, you have dreams, and when you believe in yourself, it just goes to show you that all things are possible. I would have never dreamt that 20, 25 years later, we'll be sitting right here talking about all of these wonderful accomplishments. And, you know, in truth, there are wonderful accomplishments that anyone should be proud of, but I'm very clear on this, that me here today represent a lot of people, and I stand here to receive this great accomplishments on the shoulders of so many that have invested in me, their time, their prayers, their hopes, their dreams. And so I don't stand here alone. I accept this honor on behalf, first of all of my coaches, and I can name the roll from Lou Saban to Red Jerry Anderson, to Mike Kruzak, to, you know, people like Alan Gooch and Gene McDowell. And those coaches, they really nurtured my passion for the game, and they helped me to become the young man that I was and the man that I'm still trying to become. And they reinforced some of the principles that Mom and Dad taught me. And so it's because of a lot of people that I'm here. To my teammates, I mean, quite naturally, without their help in the offensive line and the great blocking and all of those things that sometimes we as running backs or skill position players get a lot of credit for. But I want to say, without their help, I wouldn't be standing here. So I'm here to say thanks to everybody for making my dream come true.
What do you remember most fondly about your time at UCF?
The camaraderie with the players. Just the crazy moments that we did as young men, 17, 18 years of age, you know, being there, seeing each other in the trenches, you know, dying for one another. But I think most of all, being able to become a pioneer, to help to build a legacy. I'm so proud when I come back to this college, Jeff, to see the amazing progress from the stadium to the new dormitories and to all of these beautiful, you know, beautiful buildings and the growth of the school. And I come and I say, wow, you know, I helped to make this. And with that, I think, you know, it's all about progress, because if it just stops at me, at the accomplishments that I did, and it's kind of vain, it ends. But if my hard work on and off the field has helped to produce this, oh man, that's where I get my biggest thrill.
Well, tell me about your time after UCF. You know, you graduated, and I know you played in the NFL, but give me a rundown of some of the things that you've been able to accomplish after your 4 years here.
Oh, wow. I mean, UCF was like a springboard. I mean, it just allowed me to just jump real high. And one of the high moments for me was being one of the first players in the history of this institution to be drafted into the National Football League. I think that gave a lot of the underclassmen an idea that, hey, if ED can make it, then maybe I can make it too. And I think it gave a lot of people inspiration. But, you know, making it to the NFL was one of my goals as a young boy. And to have that dream to come true, it was probably the greatest honor of all, to stand and put on the blue and white and to run out on Sullivan Stadium with ESPN and CBS and ABC there, and me back receiving those kickoffs. It was a thrill that I cannot put into words. Definitely, that was one of my main highs that I take from my career. Short, brief memories in Pittsburgh with the Steelers were beautiful as well. Had a chance to meet, again, wonderful people that gave to me an opportunity to continue my growing process. Winnipeg with the CFL was another wonderful challenge for me. And and it ended, my football career ended with the London Monarchs. I was a 4th round draft pick back in those days with the London Monarchs, and it gave me a chance to get involved internationally with the game that I love so much. And briefly from that particular point, after football was over, there was a great adjustment, because for the first time, I was in a creek without a paddle or a boat, because for the first time in my life, I was doing something other than playing football. And that's where the great education that I obtained at UCF really kicked in, because it allowed me to use those principles to go and to carve out whatever destiny I wanted in my community, whether it was business, whether it was intellectually or spiritually. Those are the things that UCF allowed me to do. Briefly, I became a businessman, where I had 2 businesses, and they were very successful. For 10 years I ran them. Got involved in my community on a ministerial level, gave me an opportunity to travel, to help to disenfranchise, to be able to give some of my talents to help uplift my community. And that was some of the things I really appreciated the most.
What do you think is your legacy at UCF?
Oh, wow, what a question, man. What is my legacy at UCF? My legacy is a pioneer. I'm a person that when you think about Elgin Davis, you would think about a person that gave his all, who never complained. He just went and he got it done. Elgin Davis is a person that, if you remember, would be a person that will uplift someone around him. If you had a down moment, or the day wasn't so sunny, it was a little bleak, my legacy was to make it a little brighter. And so when you think about me, I will hope to be remembered as someone that sacrificed that others may shine.
If you could relive one moment from your UCF career, a great memory that you have that you just wish you could be there one more time, what would it be?
It was my last game that I played in the Citrus Bowl. We played against a team that's named Sanford. It's called Sanford the Bulldogs, and it was the last time that I would ever set foot on that field in a UCF uniform. I never forget that moment. Tears rolled down my eyes. I had a private moment before we, went on the field, and at that time I said, "This is it. 4 years, the blood, the sweat, the tears, the highs, the lows. I would never do this at this school ever again." At that time, it became real that it's over. And so I had a chance to carry the ball 3 times. And I finished with 100 and I believe 18 yards on 3 carries. And I finished with the longest run from scrimmage in UCF history, which was 79 yards. And recently, Kevin Smith broke that record with 80 yards. And so that was probably my proudest memory, and one that I always remember.
What were the most important lessons from your time at UCF that you just take with you to this day, that you live by?
The important lessons that I learned is when you fall down, how to get back up. See, we didn't do a lot of winning on the football field at UCF. Not at all. We did more losing than winning. But I had to really learn what winning was all about. And it really wasn't about the points that were on the board at the end of the game. What winning meant to me was being able to extract the best out of myself. When I was afraid, to extract courage. When I was weak, to extract strength. And so for me, this institution allowed me to develop the inner qualities that I would need to be successful in life. That's the thing that I remember most. How to brush off the knees and stand back up. And I would say this, and I have to say this, because so many people, we fall so many times. But it's all right to fall. What's important is that you get up. So if you fall 3 times, you gotta get up 4 times. And so that's what I would like for people to know, is that if you fall, just brush it off and get back up.
When you look at, I think you kind of touched upon this a little bit, but when you look at UCF and now in general, especially not just with football, but the entire campus, what do you think?
I think tremendous, and I just hope and pray that the college will continue to grow and to develop the minds of the young people, that they can go out in the community and make a change. And that's certainly what we need. You know, the world that we live in today is a lot different than maybe when you and I grew up. And I think the community, the nation, the world, they're in need of the fine minds that will come from this institution. And so my prayer is that this institution can develop fine minds like they do fine athletes.